It matters. I'll keep the details as focused as I can. The real reason for posting here is partly to vent, and partly to ask for everyone's support. My wife had a PA a long time ago that we have been dealing with for many years. We have finally found the right MC and have been working with that person for a while. After several one-on-one sessions with him, he and I agreed it's time for the truth to come out about what exactly happened in the affair. She's been hiding it for a long time, and I know much more went on than she has tried to make me believe. We're at the point now that she basically will not discuss difficult topics unless we're in the presence of the MC. I'm at the point now that I need to know the truth, and I need to hear her tell me the truth. All of it. All the gory details. MC asked why I need to know. I told him it's not so much that I am trying to satisfy my erotic fantasies or anything like that. I need the mind movies that have been going on to stop. I feel that I'd be better off knowing exactly what happened than imagining what I think happened. And she needs to let it out to set herself free of what she's been holding, and finally ask for forgiveness the right way. One of the main reasons I know why she got physical with him is because at one point during the affair, before D-Day, we were in bed and she suggested a that we had never done before. She called it by a specific name. I played along but thought it was very strange that such an elaborate and she seemed to know so well, yet we never did it before. A week later, we're in bed getting things going, and I played dumb and asked about that and we did the week before. Her eyes lit up and she jumped up and was all about doing it, and she knew exactly what to do, telling me where to go, how to myself, etc. I immediately knew at that point that something was up. One of the many mind movies I have is of her doing that with him. There's plenty of other evidence, like coming home and immediately taking a shower, something she never did, and always answering her cell phone out of breath. I can go on. I know her well enough that she doesn't do anything halfway, and we don't ever use protection because we don't have to. Hysterectomy. I'm more than confident she took that same approach with him. I hid a lot of these mind movies for a while, but after the last few MC sessions, they've all come back to me, and I'm going insane. I guess what bothers me the most is not what they did, which I assume is everything, but the emotion she put into it. She's very escapist, lost in a fantasy world most of the time. She used bonding to get what she thought she needed emotionally, and she let herself feel in love so she could pretend to make love to him. The mental imagery of seeing her looking at him lovingly, caressing him, wrapping her legs around him, all while telling him she loves him, which she admitted, this is just killing me. Next MC session will be the three of us, and while she's not aware of it, this will finally be brought up. I am trying to keep sane until that time, but I really don't know how either of us will react when she finally opens up. This is the last-ditch effort before I decide on D. If she can't open up completely, then there's no hope. I really need your support, and I welcome everyone's thoughts. I'm only describing one part of a very big issue, but this is what's keeping me up at night right now. If she deliberately holds back and gets defensive in front of the MC, then at this point, I will have to tell her that it's time to move on. This has been going on for longer than I'd like to admit, but I know that if she lets go it will be very freeing for her. She has held a lot of her past in, and this will be one huge step to help. The affair was 3 months long. It started 13 years ago right around Thanksgiving, and I was suspicious by the beginning of December. I found a journal in her bathroom that she wrote in the form of letters to him. Talk about how bad a husband I was, how she was going to separate from me to be with him, etc. I don't remember any dirty details in the journal though. At the time she said that although it was wrong, she felt justified, and insisted that I knew that. We've been in counseling and she has expressed remorse and regret over the years, but she still keeps the intimate details to herself, insisting that nothing more than heavy petting went on. I know better. You don't string a 42-year-old guy around for 3 months with kisses and heavy petting. She has a history. Part of her coping after her ex during college was going boy crazy. In her own words, she was trying to replace the violence with something that resembled love and affection. That was many years before I met her, and I was too naive at the time to get up and walk away. We've been together 19 years. I care about this woman, but I can't deny the anger inside me. I say all that because while she won't admit it, bonding and lovemaking is incredibly important to her. She uses it as a tool to get the emotions she needs, even if those emotions are fake. After an argument we had, she met with him. He was a mutual friend of ours, and she started crying to him about me. She said he offered her a hug, and she took it from there. Her exact words were, I attacked him. She told me at first, he resisted but then finally gave in. The rest is history. Why she wants me now. It was all to perpetuate a fantasy that she let herself live in. He's out of the picture now, although several years after the fact she found his business card on her car. She showed it to me, and for the first time she expressed genuine remorse. She also said, I know what happened, and I know what I did with him, but I still can't believe I actually did. I held back from asking her what exactly she did with him because she was opening up and I didn't want her to clam up. It was way below her standards and she knew it. I'm having more of a hard time getting past the fact that she's still hiding it than what exactly happened. That being said, if she does open up at the next MC session, I don't know how I'll react. But I still think that hearing the truth will be more beneficial in the end if R is even possible. If I hear her say I did X, Y, and Z, and I'm sorry, and I feel horrible about it, please forgive me, then yes, I can forgive her. I know it will take time to process everything, but I can still forgive. If I can't get that from her even in front of a MC, then it's time to end it. I guess I'm trying to prepare myself for both situations. What I'm also preparing for is a fight. I'm going to have to call her out on what I know, and she'll have to answer to it in front of the MC. I'm expecting her to try to get out of it. Her telltale response when she's lying at home is first getting angry, then crying. I don't know how she'll react with another person in the room. I don't want the adult version. What I really want to hear is yes, I had an ongoing physical relationship with the man. I also want to know if he used protection. Not for the STD, we've both been tested, but I want to know if she opened herself up that much physically and emotionally to let him do that. If she divulges more, I'll let her talk until I can't handle anymore. But no, it's not about making another porn movie in my head starring my wife. And the OM, I still believe the more she opens up the better she'll be in the end. Experience has taught me that telling the truth can be very freeing. And I know the reason why she decided to cheat. Her history made her afraid of me. I know it's common in victims to fear their spouse because they're the closest person to them. That's one of the many things she has stuffed away and never dealt with. It still doesn't excuse what she did. I will say this, history has shown that I am always right when I know she's lying and the truth eventually comes out. I'll let her know that the crying has to stop if she wants the marriage to continue. We'll see what happens after that. She also has to prepare for the fact that I'm going to have more questions as I process everything. She avoids my questions because it's reliving the moment to her. Progress in the MC, but also other issues. Her health has gotten bad and she's been more and more depressed. When she's depressed, she lies more because she's afraid of how I'll react to what's really going on. Finally, I opened up to the MC about everything that I'm going through and he said she has to let go and agreed to help her open up in the next session. I'm still trying to prepare for what I may hear. But to answer your question, no, whatever gory details she reveals will not be easy to hear or to process. The fact that she opened up will be the healing part for me. On D-Day, she was very quick to let me know that there was some physical expression. I know she said it to make me feel bad, though all she claimed was he had his hand down her pants and up her shirt, and that she felt him through his jeans. I didn't buy it, especially when later on that night she ended up saying he wasn't that big. My next question was, how would you know if all you did was feel him through his jeans? She didn't answer. I've read these forums enough to know that sometimes affair bonding can be crazier than what you'd expect because of the excitement of everything. I get that. If that's what I end up hearing, then I'll have to deal with it. I just want the truth even if it hurts to hear it. If that ends up breaking the marriage, at least I won't wonder anymore. I have forgiven her to the extent that she's been able to show remorse. When she holds on to something as important as consummating the affair, it's hard to fully forgive. She hasn't shown remorse for the rest because she hasn't owned up to it. But I'm willing to forgive and I want to forgive her if she would stop hiding that one, very important part. The thought of leaving her is very tempting, just because I'd be able to live my life without the constant question of what else is going on that I don't know about. This is what I can't handle anymore. But then my own personal beliefs and values kick in and the cognitive dissonance comes out in full force. The idea that I married for life and she's broken and it's my job as her husband to help her through it. What I intend to tell her is if she could open up then R may be possible, but if she can't then there's no chance anymore. I'm also preparing for the possibility of forgiving her but still moving on. I may have to, but I really want to forgive her first. What she meant was she threw herself at him passionately. If it happened the way I imagined it, she was probably in his truck going or coming from the park. The three of us and sometimes a relative of his all used to ride bikes together. She probably ended up at his place or renting a room somewhere. Our bonding life has waned down to nothing. It was fine for a few years after the affair, but then it started to dwindle. We haven't been intimate in 3 years, and before that it was less than a dozen times a year. When it was good it was great, felt very connected and loved and felt like a king. But after a while she became very apathetic towards bonding and lovemaking until it just stopped. I noticed towards the end she became very stressed about the idea of it all, and she would either put me off or have to make sure everything was picture perfect to go there, and even then, she would still be hesitant. Right now, her health is a big factor for no intimacy, and I can't blame her for that. She claims she would go there and wants to. I don't believe it, because even the little bits of affection, hugs, are missing or seem forced. Deep down she knows something is wrong but won't make light of it. During the affair she was incredibly charged, more than I've ever seen her. For example, she would have dirty dreams and other details. All these things started me thinking something was wrong. The apathy started several years after the affair. She also started to gain weight, a lot of it, hence her health problems. One way or another, she's going to feel like she's being backed into a corner, because, well, she's being backed into a corner. I'll have to call her out on stuff and she's going to have to answer not only to me, but to MC, and we'll both know if she's creating a story. It will really depend on if she comes clean and is sincere about it. Honestly, back then I didn't have the balls to divorce her, even though she was practically daring me. She used to say, "You just let me know if you want me to leave." Now it's not the case. Now she is so depressed that the proposition of my divorcing her sends her in crying fits for days. Now I do have the balls to do it, and I'm give her this last chance. I can't go on like this anymore. Strangely enough, I have a very odd feeling that my life is going to drastically change in the next 6 months. What I don't know is how it will change, but I've learned to trust my premonitions. She knows he was way below her level. She may not have felt that way during the but after the fog lifted, she couldn't believe that she lowered her standards that much. That I know for sure. She was very sincere when she opened up about that. I'm looking at it this way. This is the last chance, and if the change doesn't happen, dramatically, then I'm done. I've wasted a lot of time, lost a lot of good friendships, and most of my adult life stuck with her. I can't go on like this anymore. I'm 43. I figure I still have a couple more good decades. I am preparing myself now to give her an ultimatum, to say to her in front of the MC that either these things have to happen, and she commits to helping herself, or we're done. That much I finally have the balls to say. Maybe it's all for nothing, but I have to give it that much. I am angry at her and the situation, but I'm not malicious. I'm not looking for revenge. What I'm looking for is peace in my life and a chance to salvage some personal happiness. She only works part-time and her health makes it difficult to hold a full-time job. She hasn't actually looked for one, but if I divorce her, she will have to. While I may be able to let her go now because I don't see things changing, what I can't do is leave her on the streets. If she's capable of showing true remorse and makes a visible effort towards R, then I will give it one more chance. We've been down this path before, and she'll make the visible efforts for about a month and then things start going back to the way they were. If that happens again, this time it's over. That is the ultimatum I will give her when we meet with the MC. Right now, I don't see her being able to do it. Maybe now I'm starting to understand why I think my life is going to drastically change in the next 6 months. I'm not expecting her to remember or reveal everything in one session with MC, but I am expecting her to own up to and admit some of the basics. I'm also expecting her to be willing to answer my questions, both in front of MC and at home afterwards, because I will need time to process everything. If she can't, or she says, "That's everything and I know there's more," I'll have to call her on it and end it. I'm expecting at least some confession initially, because by staying silent, she loses me, and she can't handle that right now. MC believes that once the door is opened, there's at least a chance that the rest will come out willingly. I'm not expecting a miracle in one MC session, but if I see a pattern of her opening up and continuously showing remorse and willingness to work on everything, perhaps there's a chance. What MC is noticing is that I'm at my wit's end and I'm ready to give up if something doesn't change. She's totally unaware of this though. At this point, we don't discuss relationship issues unless it's in front of the MC. Not that I don't want to, but she's afraid to go there without that buffer. I've been taming in our MC sessions so far. Perhaps that's not good, but I know she can't handle any more from me. Next session is when we crack this open finally, but she's unaware of that. In many ways that's good because she would avoid it if she knew. She has no problems reliving situations where she feels she's the victim. She has huge problems reliving situations where she's ashamed or embarrassed, her affair, past boyfriends, etc. I'm confident that there's parts of her history so locked down that even she can't get to them. I'm not expecting a miracle in one MC session though. If she can open up about the affair, then I'm hoping that we'll start the healing and more revelation will ensue. I'm willing to wait it out if I see that happening, because I really want to see her heal. I'm trying to prepare myself just that way. I know she can't take the raw emotion, and I have a history of opening my mouth too soon. This is why I'm happy to have a little bit of time to get myself ready. Another hard part for me will be her trying to defend herself with false stories, and I'm going to have to call her out on what really happened. I'm trying to work on my delivery for when that happens. As much as I can, I will be as composed and non-emotional as possible. MC warned me that we don't know what will come out of her mouth, and what I know may only be a small part of what she did. So, I don't know how I'll react until that moment. I'm sure having the MC present will help keep me in check. I'd like to believe she just can't open up in fear of vengeance on my part, but sometimes I feel like I'm being played. The lies and omissions don't stop with just the affair. She lies about anything she fears my reaction to, and in the end, it makes the situation worse because I call her out or eventually find the truth. I was a doormat for a long time, and maybe I still am to some extent. All I can say to that is I'm a lot better off than I was 15 years ago, and while I'm late to the game, at least I'm starting to stick up for myself now. But I can't go against my convictions. I can't treat her worse than she treated me. That's vengeance, and I'd rather leave her because it's better for both of us collectively than to throw her out the door like a bad dog. As I said, I'm horribly late to the game, but every day that goes by with things the way they are, I feel more and more a failure as a husband and a man. It's hard to stick up for myself, and I know I come off as a weakling and a pushover to her. It spills into other areas of my life. Strategically, I'm trying to keep her stable until the next MC session. If something happens and she refuses to go, that will ruin everything and I'll never get disclosure. So, I'm trying to keep the peace until then. But I have every intention of letting her know that if I don't see a dramatic change, if I don't see her helping herself, and if don't get the apology and confession for all of her abuse towards me, I'm going to have to leave. I'm not going to be mean about it, but I will let her know that it's do or end. She's opened up, but gradually. Yes, it's taken a long time and there are a lot of details that I'm not giving to the thread just so it can stay focused. And I am doing something about it. I'm expecting and preparing for the worst, but if I can get even a little closure before I end a 19-year relationship, then I will try. If for no other reason but to help me move on. The last thing I need is to dive into some other relationship with huge unanswered questions about the last one. Right now, I don't trust women in general because of all of this, and that's not healthy. She's not on antidepressants, refuses to use them. What I'm not telling you is why the bonding stopped in 2014. I started to talk divorce then because she was using multiple friends, online and off, as a sounding board to complain about our marriage. I caught her doing this. This is when the bonding stopped and she got angry at me. When it comes to divorce, I never noticed just how definitive people can get when affairs are involved. It's not that simple, folks. 19 years is a lot of time. The memories are everything from great, hurtful, happy, ecstatic, loving, betrayed, erotic, vengeful, tender, depressing. I can go on. You can't just throw all that away. There are a lot of other things too: a house, family, jobs, mutual friendships, and other relationships. The simple fact that we lived in the same area for so long and it's not just me, it's us to a lot of people. That's hard to undo. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's a lot. I guess I was hoping people would take all that into consideration before throwing up the she's cold, vengeful, disloyal, lazy, unapologetic, deceitful, unhappy, characterless person, and you should throw her out like a bad piece of meat right now and get on with your life. It was codependency in the beginning. I worshipped her in the wrong way from the start. I've grown up and I haven't been that way for a while. Again, 19 years is a long time. Comments: I guess I'm just at a loss. You have come here defending your wife and saying 19 years of marriage should count for something. That the people who have told you to divorce aren't taking into account your 19 years of wedded bliss. Your wife has had an affair, talked to, well, at least more than one, about how terrible of a husband and marriage she has. Yet if she opens up emotionally, you'll continue the marriage of bliss without any intimacy. Truly, I wonder why you are going to MC, why you are waiting to expose this new finding in MC. You should be taking her to your lawyer's office to have her sign the divorce papers. Reason for divorce is because of adultery, naming your ex-friend, and that she has continued an online. MC is pointless, and if your MC hasn't told you this, he isn't worth anything. Honestly, I'm not even mad at your situation or that your marriage, term used loosely by the way, because you have lost all self-respect for yourself. I'm truly stunned that anyone would accept this type of living, which makes me now understand her comment of "you are stuck with me." You are stuck with her because of your inability to exercise action and stand on your own 2 feet. OP responds: she is a serial cheater, she continues with unacceptable behavior and I condone it, and she is abusing me. I get it, probably always have but never did anything about it. I am the nice guy. It's not a good place to be with a person like this. I really don't know if she's aware of what she's doing or not, but at this point does it really matter? Probably not. One thing I do know is I won't get anywhere with her if I get emotional and throw the book at her in anger. She'll get defensive and make everything, including D, even more difficult. She won't talk about anything unless in front of MC, so I'm going to calmly give her my side and say I can't trust her anymore, and unless she accepts and commits to an entirely new way of life that includes working, no phone after a certain time period, and regular checking up on her, among other things, joining a support group, etc., then this isn't going to work and we will need to end the marriage. Now I say all the above with the expectation that she will not accept and not commit. If she pitches a fit about my requirements, then I will calmly say it's over. All this will be in front of the MC, because right now it's the only way to assure she will listen. If I try it at home, she will get emotional and angry and it will become more of a mess. Last time I tried D, she threw away every marriage picture in the house and told everyone we collectively knew he's divorcing me. I'm still dealing with that fallout. I know a lot of you think it's a waste of money, but even in the reality of D, I need to at least try to keep the peace. All the alphas are saying kick her out to the curb. I'm not an alpha and probably never will be, so please accept the reality and don't expect me to do all this. I can be strong and definitive when I need to, as long as I'm prepared. 1. My bank account cares. If we agree to D and do it peacefully, then maybe, just maybe, my savings will remain somewhat intact. I know her well enough to expect her to say she doesn't want anything from me except the essentials, like her car, which I'm happy to give her and take the payments off my plate. But if it gets nasty, then she will try for more. She's reactive. If I approach her with a modicum of civility, she will do the same. 2. What's left of my reputation? A lot of people know us and a lot of people associate us as one unit. Not just family and close friends, but groups, churches, people we know from participating in the community. If I have a chance at salvaging a fraction of those relationships, some of which I desperately need, through a somewhat amicable divorce procedure, then you bet your ass I'm going to try. The decision is not the issue anymore. Every person is different and she doesn't do well with the direct approach. It just doesn't work to say, you did this, and I'm not taking it anymore and we're divorcing. That's blindsiding her. And when she's blindsided, her defenses go up. When her defenses go up, she can get nasty and vindictive when you're trying to work with her. Why would I want to do that if I know that's going to make everything more difficult? I have to do it differently. If we wake up tomorrow morning and after coffee I say, "Oh, here's your divorce papers. Consider yourself served," with no preparation or forewarning, that will wreak more havoc than the divorce itself. If my self-worth was as low as you're purporting, I wouldn't be here talking about wanting to do this, and that's a lot better than I was 2 years ago or even 2 weeks ago. But it has to be a process. First an attempt to R, then an ultimatum, then D. We started the detox before, several times. One time I remember it was peaceful and she was cooperative. Another time, when I was getting emotional and throwing jabs at her, she threatened to sue for alimony. Both times we stopped before making it final to try to work on R again. She makes up lies about me to disparage me to strange men because she has a mental problem where she lives in a fantasy world, most likely as an escape from her CSA trauma memories. The fact that I acknowledge this doesn't mean I'm defending her, and it doesn't mean I won't divorce her. I made it quite clear that I can't take that kind of abuse anymore. MC and I agree that while she may look at it as all fun and games and make-believe, if she thought it enough to write it or tell it to someone, then it's real. This is what I see as not changing, and this is why I will need to divorce. Not because she's a lying, vengeful bee who deserves every bit of hell I can give her because she gave it to me. You've never seen her, or me, in real life. She's a decent person with a serious commitment issue because she's scared of men, especially family. Her affairs are a form of escape. It doesn't make it right, and I don't approve or accept them. It will probably lead to D, whether it's now or in the future. Right now, I'm doing the best I can to make it happen sooner than later, but it's a process. I'm an introvert. I need to go into my quiet little corner and think about everything before I make a move on most everything, although I kick ass at improvising in the kitchen. This forum is that corner. So, despite what everyone is thinking, all the comments are helping me sort stuff out in my own head. My reactive responses to everyone are just part of that process. An old friend once described my brain as the committee. Update: was with MC last night. Things got rough. I got upset and angry, she got defensive and wouldn't budge, and kept throwing things at me, figuratively speaking. Specifically, she's trying to compare her indiscretions to my past problem with video addiction. Anyway, point is, nothing was revealed, and consequently nothing was resolved. We left the MC with him saying we need to make a decision. She will need to give up some of her privacy to start to rebuild trust, and I need to open up enough to start trusting her as she reveals. She wouldn't say if she could or would do her part. When he asked me if I could learn to trust if I saw an effort of openness, I told him honestly that after nearly 2 decades, I don't know. He finally said that's a decision we will need to make one way or another. Probably my biggest mistake was getting emotional, but I couldn't stop myself. I started grilling her like she was on trial. It didn't make things any better. I'm angry, hurt, I feel like I'm being played every day, and that all came out. We haven't talked since the MC session. My emotions are a bit more in check now, but the next discussion with her will be where do we go from here. I don't have any more to give, and I will tell her that. I can only hope the D process will be remotely civil. If you believe in a higher power, then please pray for me, because I need all the help I can get for what's coming. My comment: I'm sorry she didn't cooperate. I didn't think she would be forthcoming with anything helpful, but I had hoped for your sake she would be. I don't think she wants a divorce and may promise the moon and everything else for you to stay, so prepare yourself for that just in case you decide to go through with it. Ending a marriage is never easy, but sometimes it does have to be done in order to live with yourself. OP tried to be a fixer for all these years, and you can't be a fixer if you don't fix yourself first. I'm not saying reconciliation is impossible, but reconciliation is impossible for those who think they should fix the problem.